Hey YouTube, this is my first video. For all you pros out there, I know you usually just want to get to the side of the cards because you already know what they do and don't really care about any descriptions, so I'm going to get right to that first. And for all you that don't really know what the deck's about, I'll explain all the cards individually after I'm done. So here it goes. Alright, so for all of you who stuck around to figure out what this deck is about, essentially it's Fusion Gate heroes, not fusion or not hero stun. The premise behind Fusion Gate heroes is normally you search for Fusion Gate, pull it out, and because of its effect and its rulings, you can fuse from hand to end field. Your go-getter is this guy right here, Elemental Hero the Shining. He says for every elemental hero removed from play or banished, he gains 300 attack points. This alone is pretty cool considering he's already a 26 beater. The real key is his effect that resolves in the graveyard. When he's sent from field to grave, you get to add any 2 removed from play elemental heroes to your hand, thus recycling for Fusion Gate again, especially if you got a Stratos in the mix who helps you +1 off of that even further. After that premise, you basically got the 3 oceans in here so you can make absolute zeros, who resolve off the field. A great combo with that would be fusing for Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, then going for any other hero, using Absolute Zero as one of the fusion pieces. His effect resolves off the field as soon as the fusion hits and blows up all the monsters anyway. Nothing lost. Prisma's in here, because with Fusion Gate going on, not many of your heroes actually hit grave very often. If you want to use those Miracle Fusion top decks, you gotta have something in grave. Prisma can send stuff like Ocean or Elemental Hero Lady Heat / Heat. I don't actually have a Heat right now. Lady Heat gets the job done anyway. You have to remember though to keep a space in your extra deck so you can actually have stuff to show off to your opponent so you can send those heroes away. Prisma also has a second effect or second option you could use with his effect. Because things like Cyber Twin and Chimeratech both exist, you can send off a Cyber Dragon as your light for the Miracle Fusion if you want, or you can send off a Cyber Dragon and contact right away using your Prisma Cyber Dragon. It's pretty funny because your opponent never sees it coming. And again, because Fusion Gate isn't specifically for heroes, should you happen to have an extra Cyber Dragon in hand and try and go for an OTK, summon a Prisma, send a Cyber, fuse 2 Cybers, instant Cyber Twin. Pretty awesome. Stratos is a staple. Right now, I have a DD Warrior Lady in. Thinking about maybe switching that out for some Thunder Kings. Only not sure right now because they're both meant for the monster removal and for being a nice light. But as it stands, I have 2 terraformings, 2 emergency call, and a reusable Stratos. Really often use Stratos, actually. And with Thunder King's effect affecting both sides of the field, he's kind of not as preferred in my opinion. So, DD Warrior Lady's in. Honest, most of your heroes are lights because again, you're trying to go for that shining. Neos Alius, same reason. Voltic, really nice tech in this deck. You might not think so, but he's pretty awesome. First of all, he's a light. That means that you can use him with shining again. Second, he special summons remove from play heroes. They're going to get removed from play. Third, he's a light. Did I say that already? Yes, I did. He's a light. Honest. Voltic. You do the math. They hit him, you honest, you get a free hero. Fourth combo. He's a light. Remember that. So, you go for absolute 0, blow up the field, still have a normal summoned. Here comes a voltic. Direct attack, straight into another hero. That hero happens to be a stratos, gets its effect. If not, still a hero. Main phase 2, fuse out new hero and voltic. Another shining, very minimum. Lady Heat, random hero. Really, the only purpose is the fact that she's not a heat, is just because she's a fire and she's sendable with prisma. That gets you stuff like your Nova Master, who's just a nice +1 should you not have a light hero for some weird reason. This normally happens for no one knows why. You just know it happens, unless you're stacking. Then don't watch my video. Cyber Dragon. A lot of gear decks, a lot of machines, period. Always good to have him. Nice light beater too. Grand Mole, it's a hero deck. Really love him. Never seen him go wrong. People hate him. Still works. Gotta use him. Terraformings, MSTs, only run 2. Remember, Stratus is reusable. MST is actually kind of dead draw, especially with the heavy storm in there. Reborn, even if you don't have many heroes that hit grave, other things like Honest or Cyber still do. Sometimes you will have a hero in grave thanks to that prisma. You can always reborn your opponent's stuff. Why am I even explaining it? Dark Hole, same thing. Mind Control. At first you might not see it, but you can still exceed with it. And if you got Fusion Gate on the field, Fusion is not a tribute, people. You can fuse. And your opponent gets really mad when you do. It's like a fake Super Poly all in one. Miracle Fusion, best top deck you'll ever get. Need I say more? Super Poly, at 3 in my deck. Cannot be stopped, period. The fusion itself cannot be stopped either. So if your opponent plays Solemn Warning, they're trying to Solemn your Super Poly, they can't. The fusion is a result of the Super Poly, so that cannot be Solemned either. Remember that. When you're in a tight spot, even if you think it's a -1, Super Poly is not. You go for a Shining, you go for a 0, you go for a Nova for some reason. Your opponent cannot stop it, and they will most likely plus afterwards. This is especially true of those Rescue Rabbit decks. All the Exceed dinosaurs, they're fires. Nova Master comes out. He's cool. All your opponent's Bryonics. Well, they just lost a target, they lost a card, and they lost a Bryonic to get you a +0. At the very least, run at least one of each element so you can Super Poly. Awesome card. Future Fusion. In this deck, it's like running a Foolish Barrel that can Foolish 2. Any heroes go to grave. Instant miracle after that. And at the very least, attach a hero like Shining or 0, and you have something that'll hit grave immediately at best. 2 E-calls. If you want to run 3, I don't disagree, I only need 2. Solemn Warnings. If I could run 3, I would. Right now, just a super bottomless for the 3rd. On to extra deck. These first 6 make sense. The Exceed is simply just in case I don't have a Fusion Gate and I have a Mind Control. Right there. Also, good stuff, use Utopia instead of Roach, so I can block off attacks from my Ocean and maybe actually get his Recycle effect. Terra Firma. Doesn't make sense at first, but he's the fusion I need in order to send an Ocean, so he's there. Inferno, there to send off the Lady Heat. Preferably a Heat, but for now Lady Heat. So he's there. Nova Master, Super Poly at the very least. Great Tornadoes for the Dragonides, all those other winds. You know the deal. Gaia, X-Sabers, you know. In a mirror match, or even at all, Adoration counts as either the 4th Shining or a 0, or just the 2nd of any element that you don't happen to have at the time. Adoration also works in a mirror match, again, because maybe your opponent special summons their own Adoration. You're like, oh no, the Dark's not out yet. Oh wait, Adoration works on himself. You can Super Poly. At very worst, a random Diamond Dude hits the field, you can totally mess with your opponent. Cyber Twin, just in case you feel like OTKing. Chimeratech, you play machines, they're screwed, even first game. Puppet Plant, running 2, side deck. You know why. Same thing as Mind Control, take control of a warrior, fusion with it. At very worst, maybe against Gravekeepers, wouldn't recommend it. But always good just in case a mirror match or 6 Sams randomly pop up. Right now, this one's just for lulz. It's the Gemini Imps, Dark World Dealings. You're like, no, I don't really think so. Don't want that to happen. I'll just negate it. If I could, I would use a maxx, but right now I don't have one. Then we got the Thunder Kings. Already mentioned them. They're also good, and I'll explain why as soon as I get to it for another part of my side deck. This entire row right here, we'll start with the Dimensional Fissures. Really good to go into stun side deck. A lot of decks are hurt by this right now. This one, however, is not. It's actually more fuel for the Voltic, not quite so much for the Shining. You've got to watch it because he's got to hit Grave. So you go for him, that's fine, but he can't really do much. It's the Voltic that's your main point at that point. Also, nothing else in the deck, not even the Miracle Fusion is that hurt by it because you're going to side deck it out for this next portion. This is the real tech behind the Dimensional Fissure. It's called Parallel World Fusion. Just came out in the new binder. It's like Miracle Fusion, except it returns 2 out-of-play monsters qualified for your Hero Fusion to the deck. But you can't special summon for the rest of the turn. Still really broken, because with Dimensional Fissure, you're going to have all your heroes out of play instead. You'll be able to return them to deck, and then you can replace your Miracle Fusions that won't be effective anymore. It's almost like a little pot of avarice, too, if you think about it, because you can use your fusion heroes as fusion material, or you can even use remove from play DD Warrior Ladies and add them back to deck for later. Same with Honest. Another really good stun that you can also side into simultaneously with the Dimensional Fissure or just by itself, Skill Drain. Again, it doesn't affect any of your deck, and even Shining is more happy about it because since he resolves in Grave, you still get to plus, and the same thing is true of Zero. The only one who really doesn't like it is Nova. Oh well, sucks for him. So with Skill Drain going on, DD Warrior Lady will still get her effect if she would be destroyed. She has to be destroyed before time. Voltic becomes a little bit of a loser, so we side him out for the Thunder Kings or Grandmole as well. Maybe even into a Puppet Plant. Anything that would be harmed by Skill Drain is pretty easy to side out at this point. And again, you're hurting a lot of decks. Gravekeepers for sure, definitely X-Sabers. Just about everything else out there, honestly. Then we got Chain Disappearance and King Tiger Wanghu. Again, the Chain Disappearance is kind of in there because it's good. But with Dimensional Fissure or Skill Drain, Chain Disappearance really doesn't need to be in here. It's just kind of a filler. Because for some reason, I can only find one of my King Tiger Wanghus. I know I have 3 somewhere. So aside from the maxx, that would either be a Wanghu for the Gemini Imps, but definitely a Wanghu for the Chain Disappearance. Because again, if you look at the deck, the only ones that really qualify are Voltic, Lady Heat, and Grandmole as things that are going to blow up on your side. You can side deck out the Voltics. The Lady Heat would preferably be a Heat who's not going to get affected. And I'm sorry, Grandmole. Maybe a Thunder King, but you'd probably stay in if it was me, just because you're close to my heart. So again, thank you for listening to my video. Hope this helps. If you see me, be scared. Have a good one. Bye.